Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my Lair of Action Figures, where I'll be talking and reviewing action figures from different manufacturers. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at Plan B Toys, the history of the company, and also the different lines of figures that they released. Now, of course, after seeing the videos of the Special Forces, different missions, 1 to 4, the special emergency figures, we're going to go into the next line that they decided to come out with, and this is what they call Special Force World War II. Now, is it really Special Forces? You couldn't really use that name because it was not something that was much around in those days. And of course, this is something that is could be a bit susceptible and could be an explanation about certain, how can we say that, units that they decided to choose to give in the World War II figures. Now we're going to be starting off by the German figures. So of course we have little nice information because the figures came out in 2004. As you can see, it is put it as a 60th anniversary of the day, June 6, 1944. So this, like I said, came out in 2004. Now, if you look at the figure looks pretty neat. Now, of course, I'm not a fan of the helmets. I think the helmets do look a bit weird, but otherwise the figures are very interesting because they corrected the articulation. So you have to remember, this is, let's say 25 years ago, let's call it 24 years ago, and they already started correcting the problems with the legs that were with the special mission, who made them look like if they were trying to pull a Jean-Claude Van Damme split. But these figures don't have this issue. Now, of course, you will have an explanation about the gun. You have a bit more about the uniform itself, and of course, you will have which division he's from. So he's from the Viking division, 5th Panzer Division. So of course, you have his food kit mess. You have his water canister. You have, of course, a pistol with his Luger inside. You have a grenade. You have a shovel. You have bread bag. You have his gas mask. You have extra ammo crate for the MG42, and I find it very funny that they decided to go not with a belt-felt version of the MG42, but with the little canister of ammo clip on it. Now, if you've been playing Call of Duty, the first one, whether you are playing with the World War II characters, you can pick up the MG42, and it's not belt-fed, it has this little ammo clip on it. So, now that we have talked about this, let's move to the next figure that we have over here. Now, this one here is more of a winter version. As you can see, he is there's some weathering on him, but the white uniform puts him as more of a battle maybe in Russia. So I do not understand maybe the reasoning behind this figure to call it on the 60th anniversary, due to the fact that this could have been at an earlier date. So as you can see, a lot of reused parts, due to the fact that this is mostly a repaint of the Panzer Grenadier over here, what the MG Gunner I mean. And you can see both of them have the same uniform, but they were repainted differently and more into a winter version of it. So of course, this you have, of course, like always, a little explanation about the figure. Now we know that this was after 1940, and also the winter combat did happen afterwards, because we have the MP40. You have 2 ammo clips, so if anybody has been watching Clone Wars, you will know where the clones get it, or even where the stormtroopers get it in the original Star Wars. I mean, everybody knows that the Imperial stormtroopers and everything to do with the Empire was based on the Third Reich. So, I mean, it's not much of a surprise that you may find certain weapons that were used in Star Wars who were, in fact, German equipment. So, of course, we're going to continue. You have the food canister, you have, of course, the water bottle, bread bag, you have the gas mask canister, you have a grenade, and you have, of course, its shovel. So, again, as you can see, the helmets do look a bit weird. They seem more like a Russian version, or maybe a Swiss Army version. No, the Swiss Army had a bit more going down on the side. But as you can see, there's the helmets were not the best parts about it. Now let's continue with the Germans. So the next German we are going to have is a Dachreich Division NCO, so an officer. Of course, you have, again, this could work for the 60th anniversary due to the fact that these guys could have been over on the day of Normandy, so this can work. As you can see, he does also come again with the same kind of uniform but painted differently, a more spring version of the camo pattern. Of course, we have MP40, we have the holster with the Luger, we have the, how do you call it, the water canister, we have the shovel, we have one MP40 mag pouch, we have the grenade, we have, of course, the gas mask canister, we have this canister for the food, and we also have the bread badge. We have a bit of an explanation on who is this guy, and talking about the fact that he was deployed in Normandy. I was not reading it, but it's more about the knowledge that I have about World War II. But again, this could be, like I said, a bit controversial due to the fact that they decided to take only SS units. So that is a bit of a could be a problem, and you will see that at a later time. This could have backfired, but due to the fact that this was mostly unknown and not sold by many shops, people may have paid less attention than the other figures that came out at a later time, and they were based on a video game, so of course more bigger shops will carry it and you will get more publicity. So these are the Germans, and now let's get into the Americans. Now the way I did it, I was going down because all the guys that they did for the 60th anniversary are all figures from the Airborne Division. So we're going to go from the lowest to the highest. So of course this is an 82nd Airborne Division. Of course it is a D-Day figure. As you can see, they're talking about the operation, they're talking about all the different things on the figure, so you can have a quick look and read about it. So as you can see, he does have the parachuter's helmet with the straps. Again, maybe not the best helmet, but we'll be looking at that at a later time. Of course, you have the logo of the 82nd Airborne. You have two water canisters. You have, of course, the 1911 with the pouch. You have, I guess it's a small knife or a small tool over here. You have the medkit pack. You have two other packs that go onto the belt. We're having a look at this. We have, of course, the shovel. We have a backpack, and we have, of course, the foldable cross of his rifle over here. So really, really looking pretty good. And of course, he does have some war paint face. So that's also something very interesting. Now, of course, we'll be having a look at the other two figures that came out. So, as you can guess, this is the Airborne. So this is the 101st Airborne figure, also from D-Day. Of course, they wanted to go on to this more iconic look of some who did this mohawk cut. Now, there was not many of those people who were around, but it was some really famous pictures that went around, and they become pretty famous for doing that. And they have some war paint. As you can see, this is more in the from the Native American looks of the war paint. So these figures were pretty interesting. So of course they do have a little bit of a talk of the history about this guy. So as you can see, you have the logo of the 101st Airborne Division. You have, of course, water canisters, the 1911 pistol. You have the meg pickback. You have a pouch that goes around him, who's interesting, who could be for some clips for his Thompson machine gun, or you can use it for any kind of other way. Then you also have over here, you have a knife, you have also his shovel, and you have his backpack. Of course, on the side over here, we'll be looking at that in a closer detail on the figure. You also have the gas mask canister, and of course, like I said, you have a Thompson machine gun. Now let's jump into the last figure, if we can say, because there were, in reality, there was 7 figures for this wave 1 of special mission figures, but they were not sold all together. Now, of course, this is another 101st Airborne. This is an officer. So as you can see, we do have a head. When I'm looking at it, this head sculpt kind of gives me a vibe of Tom Hanks. Can't remember if the movie Saving Private Ryan was already out. It was a little while ago. So as you can see, they're talking about the figure, but again, this will not be for D-Day due to the fact that this is Operation Market Garden and the uniform was a bit different, even if the paint schemes are changed and the same uniform. But as you can see, this is for Market Garden. So again, we have the same principle. We get the airborne logo of his division. We get the water canisters. We get, of course, his 1911, the pistol. We get his, again, eclipse. We have, again, bag for the ammo puff, first aid kit, his shovel, his backpack, and he also comes with a Thompson machine gun. Now, something that was really interesting with this wave, they decided to do some accessories to go with it. Something that crucially was missed with the firefighter, with the special emergency forces. So as you can see, we get a D-Day accessory pack. So of course you get the different ammo clips, you get the different rifles. Now, personally, would have preferred to see maybe a KR98 instead of a G43. That's something that I think is a bit disappointing. Then of course you get the parachute. This is all the parachute, so those can be fitted on the figures, so that's something also very interesting. Of course, you do have the ammo pouches for the KR98, and of course you have the standard cartridges for the G43 over here. Here you have some more clips. As you can see, this are more carrying for the ammo clips. Over here we of course have some more MP40 charge carriers. Of course you have the MP40. So I mean, this is pretty well detailed. Of course you have the Garand M1, and you do have also an MG42 with the round charger. Now the seventh figure who came out in this wave was a special figure that was a toy, Plan B toy exclusive, and it's this guy over here. Now again, this one does cause a bit of a issue of the packaging, as you can see. Now of course I would have not gone with this kind of packaging due to the fact that this kind of logo it could be problematic, and of course this kind of information is something that would be very hard. So especially I was distributing these products for Europe, so as you can see, this is a bit of a controversial figure if you really think about it, due to the fact of having the SS wounds, of course the SS over here, the poster of propaganda for the Waffen SS. Now, this would have not been able to sell in Austria and in Germany. The rules over there are very strict. Of course, France has the same rules, but they're a bit more laxist on that behalf. So you could sell it over there. I was talking with one of these people from, well, competitor, if we could call it like this, because I was carrying Dragon models. I was distributing the action figures, and I went to Paris to a show. I had one of my clients over there, a shop who was called BF109. Some people will remember that if you were collecting Dragon or BBI figures. It was one of the biggest shops in France who was selling Dragon, BBI, and other brands. They were doing loose stuff. Really great guy, Eric Mathieu. So really liked it, and I went to go and see him. We had a bit of a chat, and I also went to see on the different stands. And on one of the stands we had the importer for BBI France. Now I was looking, that's not the only thing he had, but he had the BF109 Messerschmitt on his stand, and there was the swastika on it. And I said to him, but does that not cause a problem due to the fact that the law in France prohibits you of selling or exposing SS wounds or any other wounds from the Nazi or any parts of Third Reich SS propaganda? And the guy said, well, we had a minister, I think it was the Minister of the Culture, who was over there, and nothing happened. He said the only problem is when the law comes into action, it's if somebody goes in around Alsace, who's a region of France up north, close to Germany, and goes and smashes some Jewish gravestones and goes and do some graffitis of swastika or any kind of other stuff, then the law is put in place. But that was the part. Like I said, Germany really don't joke with it. I had some clients who bought me some dragon stuff. Some ended up in serious problems, and yeah, but that will be for another day. I'm going to be talking about it when I be reviewing some of those BBI figures, because there's a really funny story behind some of these dragon figures and BBI figures. Now, of course, when we're looking at the figure, we can really see that this figure is a high inspiration from the movie Enemy at the Gates. So this is Ed Harris, the German sniper. He was not from the Wehrmacht. He was from the Wehrmacht. He was not an SS. So of course I have my one here, one of the actual ones that I have. So of course this is Major Erwin Koenig. So of course this is the Major Erwin Koenig from the DID version. Of course, as you can see, Battle of Stalingrad 1942. Of course, we're not going to go too much into the detail about this figure. I guess anybody would have seen the movie. It's a really interesting movie. Starring, of course, Ed Harris. Over here we have Judd Law, Rachel Harris, Ron Perlman, Bob Hopkins. There was a lot of well-known actors in it, and the movie was pretty well received. So, I mean, this is something of really interesting. Now, afterwards, there's another little figure that also came out, who's this artist edition. Now, I know I have one somewhere in loose, but this is a little extra. I'm not going to go talk about this one too much, but it's basically a figure with this kind of articulation with 1911 and a few other stuff. So it could be mixed up with this wave of special forces from World War II. So this is it for the part of the review of my Mint in Box collection. Let's have a closer look at the figures themselves and how good they are, and what do I think about it, and do I think these items have a collectible. Now let's have a closer look at what we get in the box. Now this part of the video is going to be a bit redundant with the review of the Call of Duty figures that I'm going to be doing, because due to the fact that they're exactly the same figures, I don't think it's worth me going again remaking exactly the same footage. So of course this part is going to be also copied and pasted into that review, so we can, if you want to have a look or you want to jump forward, you can do that. So here is one of the figures. As you can see, the articulation roughly is the same as the Special Mission Force figures. Still didn't have the double elbow articulations, but mostly the rest is the same. The huge improvement that they did with these figures is, of course, the leg articulation, who is really a lot better. Of course, same problem, not double knee articulations, but again, you can, of course, this does put it as a bit of a problem if you want to put them in a kneeling position, but even if you wanted to put them in a kneeling position, you would not be able to, due to the fact that you have the end of the vest who goes over it and pushes back. So something else that was a different improvement that they did on these figures, they decided to put holes on the figures over here, so you could put wherever you wanted or build up your figures in the way you wanted to snap in these accessories, clips them in. As you can see over here, here's the pouch. So you have the different weapons that go with it. As you can see, the holster closes. I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing G.I. Joe doing the stuff they're doing right now. And I'm kind of amazed that 20 years ago, a company, small company, we're not talking about something huge, managed to put us holsters that close, something that is not really seen with the G.I. Joe Classified series. I can understand maybe not the same people who are going about it, but let's be honest, they really did update the details. I mean, when you look at the weapons, I mean, of course you can pinpoint out that the hooks over here for carrying the straps are way too big, but I mean, there was a bit of an effort for them to do something, and I mean, paint job is really neat on this G43. Here we have, of course, another one of the rifles, who's the Garand M1. I mean, they really did a fantastic job on doing these weapons. So I don't understand how 20 years later we cannot expect the same quality from Hasbro. Of course, here we have some more equipment. So as you can see, all these equipments do go really well on the figure. Now, I was talking about the helmets, so the helmets, of course, come out. As you can see, this is our 101st Airborne Screaming Eagle guy. Of course, you can see the helmets. Not the best they did. They're a bit weird compared to what they should be, but that's maybe a little detail that we have. But as you can see, they fit on, they clips on pretty easily. Everything holds on pretty well on the figure, as you can see. Really, really not bad. So here we are going to be going and have a look at some of the Germans. As you can see, also put on the belt. He has the G43, of course, the holster for the Luger gun. Who's in his holster here? I mean, they've been in here for a little while, so that does put it as a... Oops, yeah, so as you can see, it does come out. Pretty well detailed, nice detailing on the gun, nice paint applications. Again, I'm really impressed that they did such a great job for something that happened such a long time ago and that we're not able to reproduce it. Now, of course, I'm going to be reviewing some more of the G.I. Joe figures that I have, maybe some of those Hall of Fame figures and this kind of figures. I will have also the same kind of criticism on this behalf. Whoops, that was unplanned. So let's go and pick this up. Of course, this clips back on over here. But as you can see, really nice details on the weapons and the fact that you can build it up, put it the way you want. You have a bayonet over here. So I mean, really, really great looking figures. Over here we have some more Americans also geared it up. So of course you have a normal standard way of putting those gears on the belt, but afterwards Chut had fun with it and Chut was building them up in a different form. So here we have our famous sniper that I talked about, who was very controversial due to the fact of the packaging. So he has the little Edelweiss. So, I mean, they could have put him as a regular guy, and Chut said that he was from the Gebirgsjäger, who's the Alpine forces, who had this little logo. So that could have worked pretty well. Of course, here we have some more of these German figures with the MP40 holding out. I know I have the parts somewhere, but they're not around, and I'll be talking about some of these parts, about my final thoughts about the figure. But as you can see, paint schemes are really nice. They really did a really nice job with the mixing uniforms, the colors. I mean, the figures really, really do look pretty neat. As you can see, here we're coming on to another figure here. Now, this is the one I said who has a bit of a Tom Hanks look. I'm surprised. I guess they must have gone on to the, what is it called? Band of Brothers, not Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan, maybe some inspiration. Here we have another figure from the 82nd. As you can see, I put the pouches differently. Well, this shouldn't be on the side, but this is the way I did it. As you can see here, you can really see that the helmet does have a weird pattern, but I mean, the figures themselves, I mean, you have the 82nd logo, you have the US flag, it's also the same on this figure. You have the 101st Airborne Division. I mean, they really, really went into some nice detailing. And like I said, I think these figures were not more than $10 when they came out. So this is something that is pretty impressive for a small company to have pulled this out. Now, I'm going to go on my notes and my final thoughts about these figures. Now, normally for my final thought and my breakdown of collectibles, I would be putting them on my platter that turns. But today I'm going to be doing it a bit differently. I'm going to go it like I was doing the other reviews, and I'm going to pinpoint out certain items. Now, before going into what I think, what are my final thoughts about these figures, I will be going into more of the collectible value of these figures. Now, of course, these figures have been sold out, and they are pretty researched because due to the fact that there's a lot of World War II fans out there, so these figures have a certain appeal to a lot of collectors. Of course, I don't need to tell you that this one will be the one who has the most research, due to the fact of the controversial nature. We all know that figures that have a controversial part of history do have a tendency of being the ones who have the most value to the collectible community, because this is always the same thing. This happened with Roadblock from the was it 1992, 93, the one who had this little propeller on him that you could pull, but it was pulled out of the market due to the fact that they were frightened that it could hurt or injure some people, the kids who be playing with it. So that is one of the highest collectible figures of that year, and should outranks any figure in value if you can get it, due to the fact that it was limited and hard to get by. So yeah, it does put it as a more valuable figure. So yes, these figures do have a collectible value to them. Now, what are my final thoughts and what would be my note out of 10? Now, I'm going to give this series a 9 out of 10. I would give it a 10 out of 10 if there would be some little things who would be a bit different. Now, of course, I really love that they did some accessory packs to go with it. Would I have liked to see some extra, some extra heads and different, the possibility to interchange some of the heads and having some other not uniforms, but helmets and some extra gear? Yes, that would have been very useful. Would I have liked to see more of a MG42 with also the ammo box? Yes, that would have been something pretty neat to do. And I would have liked to see, instead of, like I said, only having the G43, I would have liked to see get a KR98, because the Americans have a pretty well diverse weapon pack. I mean, having the Thompson over here would have made no sense, due to the fact that the Thompsons were maybe not so much used, but would I have liked to see a bar gun, some other accessories like that? Yes, because that would have made these figures a lot more interesting. And I mean, they could have also gone on to building up some more regular Joes, if we can call them like that, so that you would be able to have an army build behind it. This is something that maybe they didn't think about, or maybe was not so popular in that period of time. So yes, it is something that they could have thought about. But otherwise, I really like the fact that they upgraded the articulations, and I would have really loved them to do the Special Mission Force, the modern figures, with this kind of articulations. Of course, like I said, this is a bit of a shame that this ends up like this and does not give you the possibility to make them sit down properly. So this is something who's a bit of a shame on this behalf. But I mean, this is nitpicking, because like I said, these figures are 20 years old, or even more. Yeah, some of these designs are more than 20 years old. So of course, you cannot compare something who came out 20 years ago. You have to put yourself into the context of the time and what did the other ones were doing at the time, to be able to see what was there and what was really worth it. So yes, these figures, I really like them. I do regret that they didn't go into more details. Of course, the next video is going to be the ones for Call of Duty, and there's going to be an explanation why there was a little issue with the German soldiers over here, and you will understand it in the next video why that happened. So that's going to be it for my review of the Special Force World War II figures, Mission 1. If you like this kind of video, please leave a like, share, comment in the section. If you have any suggestions, please let me know also. If you would like to see more videos like this, you can write it down in the descriptions. I'm going to be doing some other pictures and uploading them to my Facebook page and also Instagram page. If you want to go and check those out, those are in the link in the description. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!